Have you ever felt trapped by your emotions? Like pain, regret, and sadness just won't let you go? What if I told you that there's a way to experience those emotions without being controlled by them? Today, we're diving into powerful Buddhist teachings to uncover how to stop suffering and find emotional freedom. Pain is part of life. There's no escaping it. We all experience loss, disappointment, and emotional struggles. But what makes pain even harder to deal with is when we cling to it, holding on long after the moment has passed. That's where Buddhist teachings, especially the Four Noble Truths, come in. They give us a roadmap not just to survive pain, but to transform it into wisdom and peace. Stick with me as we explore what suffering really is, why it happens, and most importantly, how to let it go. Buddhism starts with a bold truth. Life contains suffering, or dukkha, but what does that actually mean? Dukkha isn't just about physical pain or sadness, it's also about dissatisfaction, the feeling that something is always missing no matter how good life seems. Even in happy moments, there's often a fear that the happiness won't last. Sound familiar? To understand dukkha, think about the times you've felt a sense of emptiness, despite having what you thought you wanted. Maybe you've landed a new job, bought something expensive, or even started a relationship. At first it feels great, exciting, fulfilling, and even rewarding, but slowly, doubts creep in. What if this doesn't last? What if something better is out there, that lingering feeling that something isn't enough? That's dukkha. It's not just the big disappointments, it's the little cravings and insecurities that never quite go away. Imagine getting a new phone. It feels amazing at first. You spend hours exploring its features, showing it off and enjoying its speed, but over time that excitement fades. A newer model is released and suddenly your once perfect phone feels outdated. That longing for something better, that's dukkha. It's a cycle of wanting more, chasing after what's next and never feeling fully satisfied. Buddhism doesn't deny that happiness exists, it simply reminds us that happiness, like all things, is temporary. And when we expect happiness to last forever, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Even during joyful moments, there's often a quiet worry. Will this last? Which keeps us from fully enjoying what we have. The first step to freedom is recognizing that suffering is part of life, and that's okay. The goal isn't to avoid suffering completely, because that's impossible, but to change how we respond to it. Instead of fighting against pain or chasing endless pleasure, we learn to accept emotions as they come and go, without letting them control us. Think of it like watching waves in the ocean. Some waves are big and powerful, others small and gentle. But no matter what, they rise and fall. Instead of resisting them, we learn to ride them. That's the mindset Buddhism teaches, one that doesn't eliminate suffering but makes it easier to handle. So where does suffering come from? According to Buddhism, it starts with tanha, craving or attachment. This craving isn't just about material things like wealth or possessions. It also includes emotional attachments, desiring praise, fearing criticism, clinging to relationships, or chasing a specific future outcome. We want things to stay the same, or we long for things we don't have yet. And when we can't get what we desire, or when we lose what we once had, we feel pain. Let's take a closer look at this. Imagine you've poured your heart into preparing for a job interview. You visualize the perfect outcome, the job, the salary, the validation that you're good enough. But then you don't get the offer. Suddenly, it's not just disappointment you feel, it's grief, self-doubt, and frustration. Why? Because so much of your identity and happiness became tied to that one outcome. That's the weight of attachment at work. Now think about relationships. Have you ever been afraid of losing someone you care about? That fear, often disguised as love, is rooted in attachment. We cling to people expecting them to make us happy or complete us. But people, like everything else, change. And when they do, we suffer. Not just because of the loss, but because we resist accepting it. But here's the key. Buddhism doesn't ask us to stop caring about things or people. It's not about becoming indifferent. Instead, it teaches us not to cling. Picture holding sand in your palm. If you squeeze too tightly, the sand slips through your fingers, but if you hold it gently, it stays. That's the approach Buddhism encourages. Loving deeply, dreaming boldly, and working hard. But without tying your happiness to things you can't control. So how do we start letting go of attachment? First, we have to recognize when it's happening. Pay attention to moments when you feel anxious, jealous, or disappointed. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to? Why does this outcome feel so important? The answers often reveal an underlying fear, the fear of not being enough, of being unloved, or of losing control. Mindfulness helps here. It allows us to step back and observe our cravings instead of letting them consume us. For example, the next time you feel frustrated because something didn't go your way, take a breath and notice the feeling. Instead of pushing it away, sit with it. Let it be there without judgment and remind yourself that emotions, like everything else, are temporary. Another helpful practice is gratitude. When we focus on what we already have instead of what we lack, it shifts our mindset. Gratitude reminds us that life is already full, even if it doesn't always go as planned. Finally, remember this. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means loosening your grip and trusting the process. You can still have goals, relationships, and dreams, but with an open hand instead of a clenched fist. One of the most freeing ideas in Buddhism is Anicca, impermanence. Everything changes. The weather, seasons, relationships, even our thoughts and feelings, they're all temporary. This idea might seem unsettling at first, but it's actually one of the most liberating truths we can embrace. Think about it. No matter how strong an emotion feels in the moment, it doesn't last forever. Happiness fades, but so does sadness. Excitement comes and goes, just like frustration or fear. When we understand that nothing is permanent, we stop clinging to emotions and experiences as if they'll last forever. Instead, we learn to ride the waves of change without losing our balance. Consider a tree in the middle of a storm. Its branches bend with the wind, but its roots keep it grounded. Impermanence works the same way. Life may bend us, but when we're rooted in the understanding that everything changes, we won't break. This perspective also applies to relationships, careers, and material things. Think about a time when you lost something important, a friendship, a job, or a possession. At the time, it might have felt unbearable, but as time passed, you likely adapted. You may have even grown stronger or gained something new in its place. Impermanence teaches us that loss isn't the end. It's part of life's natural flow. Practical exercise. Try this when you feel overwhelmed. Pause for a moment and look at something around you, a tree, a cloud, or even your own breath. Notice how it's constantly changing. Take 3 deep breaths and repeat the phrase, "This will pass." Reflect on how often emotions and situations in your life have already come and gone. Let this reminder ground you in the present moment. Another practice is journaling about past experiences that seemed unbearable at the time but eventually changed. Write about how you survived, adapted, or even thrived. Seeing evidence of your own resilience can make it easier to trust that current struggles will pass too. Impermanence doesn't just help us handle pain, it also deepens our appreciation for joy. When we know happy moments won't last forever, we're more likely to savor them fully. Imagine eating a favorite meal or spending time with a loved one. Instead of worrying about the moment ending, focus entirely on the experience. That's mindfulness rooted in Anicca. So the next time you feel stuck, whether it's in sadness, anger, or stress, remind yourself of this truth. Everything is temporary. Emotions, like waves, rise and fall. By accepting this, you create space for peace and flexibility in your life. Let's talk tools. How do you actually let go of emotional pain? Letting go isn't about pretending emotions don't exist or forcing yourself to move on before you're ready. It's about working with your emotions, giving them space to be felt, and then loosening their grip. Here are 3 strategies rooted in Buddhist practices to help you start the process of letting go. Mindfulness meditation. Sit quietly and focus on your breath. When thoughts or emotions arise, notice them without judgment and gently return to your breath. This practice trains your mind to observe emotions instead of reacting to them. Think of it as stepping outside the storm instead of getting swept up in it. Even just 5 to 10 minutes a day can start to create that space. If sitting quietly feels hard, try a guided meditation to help you stay on track. For beginners, try focusing on the rise and fall of your breath. When distractions pop up, label them, thinking or feeling, and gently bring your focus back. Over time, this builds emotional awareness and reduces the urge to react impulsively. Journaling for reflection. Writing can be one of the most effective ways to untangle complicated emotions. Begin by identifying what's causing your pain. Ask yourself questions like, what am I really afraid of losing, and is this pain permanent or will it change? Journaling not only helps you release pent-up emotions, but also reveals hidden patterns in your thinking. Another useful technique is a letting go letter. Write to yourself or to someone who has hurt you about what you're feeling, then instead of sending it, burn it or tear it up as a symbolic act of release. It's not about forgetting, but about freeing yourself from the emotional weight. Loving kindness meditation, metta. Close your eyes and repeat phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be free from suffering," then extend those wishes to others, even those who have hurt you. It's hard to stay angry when you're sending kindness their way. This practice isn't about excusing bad behavior or forcing forgiveness before you're ready. It's about softening the hardness in your own heart so you can find peace. Imagine your emotions as a tight knot and loving kindness meditation as the gentle hands working to untangle it. Body awareness practices. Sometimes emotions get stuck in the body, showing up as tension or physical discomfort. Practices like yoga, tai chi, or even mindful walking can help release those emotions physically while calming the mind. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take a few minutes to scan your body. Notice where you feel tightness, maybe in your shoulders, chest, or stomach, and consciously relax those areas. Pair this with deep breathing to help release both physical and emotional tension. Letting go through visualization. Close your eyes and picture your pain as something tangible. A stone, a leaf, or even a cloud. Imagine placing it into a river and watching it drift away. Visualization exercises like this can give your mind a clear image of release, making it easier to emotionally detach. To make this more effective, try pairing it with breathing exercises. As you inhale, imagine gathering up all your tension and pain. As you exhale, see yourself releasing it into the river, letting it drift further away with each breath. Visualization works because the brain processes mental images similarly to real experiences, helping you create an emotional shift without needing external changes. You can also expand this exercise by imagining yourself walking beside the river. Picture the scenery around you, the trees, the sound of water, the feel of the breeze. Each step you take moves you further from your worries and closer to peace. For deeper reflection, combine visualization with journaling. After finishing the practice, write down what you let go of and how you felt during the process. Revisiting this later can remind you of your progress. Affirmations and reframing thoughts. Create simple affirmations like, "I release what no longer serves me," or "I allow myself to heal." Repeat them daily as reminders that you are actively choosing to let go. Pair this with reframing thoughts. For example, instead of saying, "I'll never get over this," try, "I'm learning and growing through this experience." Affirmations work best when they are repeated consistently. Try saying them in the morning to set the tone for your day and again at night to reinforce a sense of closure. Write them down and place them where you'll see them often, on your mirror, desk, or phone background. You can also record yourself reading the affirmations and listen to them whenever you need a boost. When paired with reframing, affirmations become even more powerful. Instead of focusing on what's missing or wrong, you shift your mindset to growth and possibility. For example, if you're grieving a breakup, instead of dwelling on loss, reframe it as a chance to rediscover yourself. Say, "This is an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser." The more you practice, the more natural these thoughts will feel. To reinforce affirmations, combine them with body language. Stand tall, smile, and breathe deeply as you say them. This helps signal confidence to your mind and body, reinforcing the emotional shift. Letting go doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that takes patience and practice. But with time, these strategies can help you move forward without carrying the weight of past pain. Pain isn't always bad. Sometimes it's our greatest teacher. Think about it. How many times have you grown stronger after going through something difficult? Pain has a way of stripping away distractions and forcing us to face what truly matters. It may be uncomfortable, but it often holds the key to transformation and growth. In Buddhism, pain is not something to run away from, it's something to lean into. Instead of viewing pain as an enemy, Buddhism teaches us to sit with it, listen to it, and let it teach us. Imagine a broken vase being glued back together with gold. What once was broken becomes even more beautiful. This idea, inspired by the Japanese art of kintsugi, mirrors how we can take our brokenness and use it to create something even more valuable. Pain forces us to slow down and reflect. It reveals patterns we might have ignored, uncovers attachments we've been holding onto, and helps us see what's no longer serving us. For example, the pain of losing a relationship might highlight how much of your happiness depended on someone else, or the pain of failure might reveal fears of not being good enough. These realizations can be uncomfortable, but they're also opportunities to grow and let go. One of the most powerful ways to transform pain is through self-inquiry. Ask yourself, what is this pain trying to teach me? Is there something I need to release or change? How can this experience make me stronger? It's not about finding answers immediately. It's about opening up space for reflection and growth. Journaling can be a helpful tool for this process. Write about your feelings, fears, and lessons learned. Sometimes, simply putting your thoughts on paper can provide clarity and a sense of relief. Another strategy is practicing gratitude even in the midst of pain. It might feel strange at first, but try to list a few things you're grateful for, even if they're small, like a warm meal or a supportive friend. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it helps balance it, reminding us that even in difficult moments, there's still good in our lives. Meditation can also be a transformative tool for working with pain. Sit quietly and focus on your breath. As emotions arise, observe them without judgment. Instead of labeling them as good or bad, simply notice them. Imagine each emotion as a wave, rising, peaking, and eventually fading away. This practice helps you develop emotional distance, making the pain feel less overwhelming. Reflection prompt. What has pain taught you? Take a moment to write down one lesson you've learned from a challenging experience. If you feel stuck, start small. Maybe pain taught you that you're stronger than you thought, or perhaps it helped you realize the importance of boundaries or self-care. Remember, pain is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of growth. Just like muscles grow stronger after being broken down, we too grow stronger through life's challenges. The key is to approach pain with curiosity instead of fear. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? And trust that every experience, even the painful ones, can lead to greater wisdom and resilience, freeing ourselves from emotional chains. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop carrying the weight of emotions that no longer serve us. So as you go forward, remember this. Pain is part of life, but suffering doesn't have to be. With mindfulness, reflection, and compassion, you can turn even the hardest moments into stepping stones toward peace. Pain is part of life, but suffering doesn't have to be. With the right tools, mindfulness, reflection, and compassion, you can create space to heal and grow. Remember, every moment is a chance to start again. Keep exploring these practices and you'll see the difference they can make.